So here's a bit of nostalgia. Now, when I was little, one of my first ever Star Trek ships was not Eaglemoss, but this chap. There we are. I'm not even sure if it's Katinga. I mean, it's got a K on the wing. Maybe it is Katinga. I don't know. K could be K for Klingon. Could be anything. Now this is a Corgi model, and if you're of my era, you probably had quite a few things that were Corgi. If you were in the UK, I think they're in the US as well. But as you can see, I mean, I got this randomly on eBay, just because I had a hankering after one. I thought I'd see if there were any around, and as you can see, it was unboxed, so I just got it as part of a loose lot, and it's an incredibly good nick for its age. I mean, what I'm holding here must be cracking on for 40 years old, and you know, this is obviously what archaeology is all about, because you know, you're going to see these things are going to stand the test of time. They're going to be around for years and years and years, and because it's solid metal, apart from the sort of I don't know if it's, I've never really known if it's a bridge module, if it's the engineering module, or just a torpedo bay. Not quite sure, but you can see it's still quite crispy and white, which is lovely. And I used to carry this around in my pocket for forever when I was little. I mean, it seems a bit smaller now, admittedly, but the reason I got this one was because I got this one. Now then, let me just do a quick size comparison for you, because up until this point, I don't think I'd really clocked that these guys existed. And basically, you can see there that the Corgi basically fits comfortably within what is actually a Dinky Klingon cruiser. Now, again, I mean, I would assume that these are probably both. The Corgi was in a Star Trek II Wrath of Khan sort of packaging originally, which is completely pointless because they don't show up in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Spoilers. But they were in the motion picture, so I can only assume that because the motion picture did well, someone decided that they'd release these by the time they actually designed them at the time of Wrath of Khan. You know, I get it, basically. But I had not known, because this is definitely not the one I had. This is the one I had, because I remember it very clearly from my childhood. But this chap is quite different, and you can see here, he's got more, the angle here on the nacelle wing pylon is very different to his, which is kind of straight down. So it's quite interesting, because they're obviously different. They are clearly different casts, but they both went for blue as the colour, and they both went for stickers on the wings. And again, this was a random eBay find, and the quality of those stickers is absolutely bob on. You know, unless someone's pulling my leg and they've stuck new stickers on since, that's remarkably good condition. I mean, the whole thing is in good condition. It's barely, there's literally barely a scratch on it, which is really impressive. If you can see the underside there, I'm actually using my screen to squint at it myself just to see if I can figure out exactly when it was made. But I would imagine, is that 79? I think that's actually 1979. So this is over 40 years old. That's scary. But just look at how it's endured down the years. I mean, clearly these were well looked after, respected toys. There's no two ways about it, because I wouldn't be finding it in that sort of condition now if they'd been messed around with. But it's just incredible what you can pick up on eBay for I wouldn't say they were dirt cheap, but they weren't expensive either. So I know they're more collectible obviously in the original packaging, but I was getting this for reminiscent value. Now I'm gonna break genres now slightly, because the fellow who I used to play with this was this. That's a little teeny tiny. That's also a Corgi model. That's a Corgi Buck Rogers Starfighter, of course, with, check out the action on this, retractable wings. Look at that. Isn't that brilliant? And they're still there. They're still working. Again, this one was just a random pickup, and still in really good condition. Still got stripy stickers on the top side, and you can still get the big ones of these quite often as well. But this one again was one that used to live in my pocket, and these two would fly around the house together, shooting at each other, because this one was you know, they're the same scale basically. Now, the other one I picked up with this Dinky was this, and again, this is not a Dinky that I had. I had an Ertl version of these, which I don't have an example of here, I'm afraid, because they were mainly coming from America and much more expensive. But again, it looks like it's lost its navigational deflector at some point, and possibly something underneath here as well. There's obviously something that maybe used to live there. But again, solid as, metal nacelles, all of this is metal. There is no plastic here. So this is all metal, and this is why they survive so well, of course. You know, it's going to take a lot to seriously damage one of these, because they are all metal. And they're screwed together, they're bolted together. There's a bolt there to keep it in place. I mean, you know, obviously the stickerage on there is a bit silly. That is the original sticker, I'm sure, but it's just a little bit silly. But this one is in scale. Well, I say in scale. It's, you know, it's the same issue sort of as the Klingon cruiser, which makes perfect sense. So those are obviously quite early Dinkies, really. But these two were my particular favourites. And just for reference, I thought it would be fun to also show you this. Now this, of course, is an Eaglemoss Klingon Ktinga. And actually, this isn't even their biggest one. That's their standard. In fact, when I got it off its stand to show you just now, I was again surprised by just how big that actually is in terms of model size. So as you can see, this sort of more, you know, the sort of the 2000s version of it is considerably. Let me just try and do this in a way that will make sense. So that's them sort of touching each other there. So you can see that again, you know, it's another progression up. It's far larger. But interestingly, if I look at the Eaglemoss at the back, I mean, if you line those two up at the back, you can see that the. Sorry, I'm trying to do this in reverse, which is tricky. The Eaglemoss has got the same sort of angle on its nacelle pylons as the original Dinky had. So assuming that they were both taken from the original blueprints, I mean, ironically, even the screw at the back of the actually no, that one doesn't have it, but the Corgi screw that holds it all together is about in the same position as the golden button there on the bottom of the Eaglemoss. But you can see that they're both pretty accurate renditions, really, and that's just I'm only using the Dinky one because it's that little bit bigger. But again, you see, when you look at it like that, you can see that. I mean, obviously the Eaglemoss one is far better because it's got a lot more wing detail. And I imagine the Ktinga is different. This is probably a D7, I guess, because you notice that the front command bridge module that's the biggest difference. The rest of it's quite similar, but that is a bit of a difference, and I wonder if that's a difference between the two models of cruisers, because I know that the one that was used in the original series got an upgrade for the motion picture, and I think the motion picture is the first time we see the Ktinga variant rather than the D7 variant. But do feel free to correct me in the comments. But I just thought it was a fun comparison. And if I go even more, bonkers on you, check this out. Now this is from a completely different era. Well, I say completely different. It was only 15 years on, I guess. But ultimately, this is one of the ones that I wasn't hunting for, but which eBay threw at me. And this is something completely different. And there you have a Playmates circa 1993 Vorchat class attack cruiser. I mean, it's got incredibly good nick. This is plastic. This is more of a kid's toy thing. But yes, it still works. So if I do this, look. I mean, this for me takes me back to my my Starboard Avenger days. So allegedly these apparently are authentic sounds from the series. Now I think only 2 of the 4 buttons are working, but I bet somebody could resurrect that. But it's nice. It's got, you know, they've gone to the trouble of putting them, you know, this Klingon script there, and the Klingon Empire label there. And there's a lot of for a kid's toy. There's a lot of surface detail there. I think they've taken that pretty seriously. You know, it's light enough for a kid to play with it, but there's a lot of good detail there, and so that's cleverly done. And they've also not gone down the route of having firing projectiles. So you've only got the sound effects on there and the light. But I actually think that's rather good. You know, as a toy, it's a really good size. I mean, it's like a sort of Star Wars kind of size of toy, you know, from back in the day. So I was quite chuffed when that arrived, and it was in such good nick. I mean, it's somebody had actually cleaned the battery compartment, I believe, which is why it's actually still vaguely functional, even if the buttons don't quite work. If I take this out, so you can see the there's just three. I mean, I was thinking to myself, actually, it's fortunate the batteries don't change over time, because this in and of itself is nearly 30 years old, which is crazy. But if I switch off the lights, if I'm interpreting this correctly, I think it actually gets a bit more power to it, and then I might be able to give you all the sound effects. Let me just try this. So now, that's the first. It's not playing well. Yeah, it's not going to do it. I thought it might do it. It has done it before, but I think the connections are just a little bit too iffy to do it reliably. Yeah, it won't quite play ball, unfortunately. But it's still, I think that's very cool. And in fact, apparently there's according to I'll show you the box briefly as well, actually, as it's here. So again, you know, quite a big. In fact, I can't even get it all in the camera, but so there you are. That's the box there. And in fact, you can see there's a Romulan Warbird version of this, which I would quite fancy, actually. So that might be a quest for me to get. This is obviously a very sort of multilingual one. And it shows you, it gives you all the detail there on what you've got and what you can use. I mean, it's a fun idea. It's a lovely idea, I think. I mean, I don't know how many, I don't know if it was a big seller in its day, but I thought it was lovely that it existed. And I think I saw this in a convention once and did not have the funds to be able to justify to myself buying it, sadly. So now I have, as is often the way with these things. So yeah. So yeah, I mean, so that's a sort of multi-generational look at Klingon ships over the years. Obviously, you can get this from Eaglemoss as well on a small scale. But interestingly, one of the very few Eaglemosses I'm now still actively hunting for is the XL Katinga. I'd really like an XL Katinga, but it never seems to come into stock at the minute. That would be a nice one to have because of this one, of course. It's just funny how these things stick with you from when you're little. Because I have very, very fond memories of flying those around the house, and I probably got them one Christmas, which has just passed. So it was nice to be able to get these in time to show you them all together. So yeah, so that's it for this one. Really, I just thought you might be interested in that because I'd never seen the Dinky before. I had no idea that. I mean, I think I half knew there is some Dinky Star Trek toys launched, but from my point of view, I know them more from Space 1999 toys and that sort of side of things. I didn't realise that they covered more besides that, but there you go. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I was actually going to hunt for. I do wander into sort of these antique shop type places, which are not, I don't know, they're more collectibles, I suppose, these days, and out antiques. I don't know how you class them, but I do wander in and have a little nose round. And I've shown some other things on videos here on my channel that I've come across in a sort of absent-minded fashion. I don't really hunt for things. I just get things that catch my eye. But eBay can be a very efficient way of finding something, obviously, if you know exactly what it is you're actually hunting for in the first place. So yeah, cool. I was hoping to do some more videos today. I may not quite get round to it because things are shifting around a bit, but I hope you've enjoyed that one. I hope that's brought back some fun memories for you, and I'll see you on the next. Cheers for now, and Happy New Year.